What's up, y'all? Here we go again. We are in the midst. Once again, my name is Dahadi Lewis.
Stephen Lee.
Jorge Mendoza.
And we are discussing books. You know, I got my book that's coming out in March 2017.
It's too early.
It's Among Wolves. That's coming out March 2017. You can actually Google or Amazon it right now and actually go buy it. It comes out March 2017.
Hey, pre-order it.
Jorge Mendoza actually already has a book. It's coming. It's out. What is it called, Jorge?
Brother's Keeper.
Brothers Keeper.
Brothers Keepers.
Yeah, Brothers Keepers. So, and that came out. We released it during the My Boulevard conference in December. And, you know, we're excited about the two books that mine's coming out. Jorge's is out. And Steve,
and I've got some sermons online. You can go to redeemerdc.org/messages.
So, no book out yet?
Again, you can go to www.redeemerdc.
Well,
it's coming.
It's coming. His book is coming.
It's called That Podcast.
So yeah, I mean that's, you know, it's one of the things, because, you know, people don't want to listen to you guys something written in print, you know. So why are we listening to you then? I'm not published yet, so I guess people are not listening to me.
I think
Jorge's the only one.
This will be part of the book. That podcast.
Podcast. Chronicles.
Yeah, the Chronicles. Yeah.
Well, good. I mean, we're talking about being an advocate versus an agitator, especially in a country that's divided now. We're on our eighth point, and this one is kind of a double R for you.
Right.
You know, it's to regard reconciliation as brotherhood, not servanthood. And it comes from, again, the book of Philemon, verse 16. It says, "No longer a slave, but more than a slave, as a dearly loved brother. He is especially so to me, but how much more to you, both in the flesh and in the Lord." You know, at Blueprint, Jorge, we talk about this idea of being, the church is not like family, but it is family.
Right.
We also talk about this, you know, one of our aims, our core identities is responsible sibling. And that's really what the book is based on. I mean,
Correct.
like, share with us kind of what Paul is saying, because in the context, Paul is saying, listen, like, when he comes to you, he used to be a servant, but now I want him to be a brother.
Yeah.
You need to treat him as a brother. I mean, think about how significant that is.
Yeah.
You got Onesimus, a dude that ran away from Philemon, and when he comes in, he says, don't allow him just come as a servant, because you know how we'll do it. It's like, okay, I'll forgive him, but I ain't going to forget.
Yeah, get down there and scrub this toilet.
It's like, and I'm going to kind of keep you in servanthood in my mind, even though, you know, we can be in the same area. Yeah. But Paul was like, nah, that's not gospel enough. Right. You know, what I'm saying is, not only do I want you to receive him back, I want you to receive him as a brother. Yeah. You know, and so one of the things I talk about is that if we're going to really overcome this kind of racial tension, the injustice, the stuff that we have, the divide that we have, it's not about just simply acting differently. It's about seeing one another differently. So we have to see one another differently. And the only way we can really see one another differently, especially, is through the blood of Christ. And that's what I love, Ephesians chapter 1, when it talks about, like, God no longer sees us for those that are in the beloved. You know, he no longer sees us for our sinful nature. He sees us as sons and daughters. So I mean, Jorge, as one who has written a book, please expound more about kind of the brother's keeper and responsible sibling, and just the importance of that in this process.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. The gospel has made them family, and Paul is calling on Philemon to live that out and act on it. And he's calling Onesimus to take that risk. It's interesting here, the dynamic, because we believe that probably when Paul was writing this letter, he was writing the other prison epistles too. So he sent Onesimus back with the other epistles, the prison epistles with Ephesians, Philippians, and Philemon. So he comes back with the letter kind of trembling in his hand, you know, coming back to his master. And he had to take the risk of, will the Christian community and this Christian brother accept me as family? And Philemon is taking a risk, and he has to wrestle through, man, do I live out the implications of the gospel, or will I cave into cultural pressure? You know, because what would the other slave owners in his neighborhood think if he now is treating this particular person differently or on the same level as him, right? Yeah. Or what would the other slaves think now? Yeah. You know, am I going to be seen as weak?
Yeah. Are we enabling,
right?
You know, break out of bondage?
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So all these things are probably running through his mind, and I think he made the right decision, obviously, because we have the book, and it looks like it's a good outcome. But at the end of the day is, what we say all the time: the church is not like family; it is family. Yeah. Will you live like that? Yeah. And Paul models that for him here in this letter, right? When he says, "Man, if he owes you anything, put that on my account. I'm going to take responsibility for him as a brother." Yeah. So we see that dynamic happening. It's really reminiscent, isn't it, of the parable of the prodigal son, right? Because remember when the son comes back, when he comes to his senses, I'll go back to my house. Maybe he'll take me as a servant. Yeah. Right. And then the father looks at him, sees him coming from far off, and what does he do? He runs to him, embraces him in all of his filth, puts the sandals on him, puts the ring of authority of the family on him, and welcomes him back with full privileges into the family. It's kind of a similar thing. Well, and it's
instantly. It wasn't like you got to earn it. Let's see if you really
prove it.
You prove it. You really are repentant. I mean, it was instant. Yeah. So I mean, how do you reconcile that with how people always talk about, well, I'll forgive you, but I'm not going to forget.
Yeah, I think the issue is you can't forget, but the thing is, in forgiveness, either you're gonna make them bear the cost of their action and always hold it over their head and kind of keep them at a distance, or you're gonna hold them in terms of, I'm gonna treating them like that back in my own heart and really seek to have an authentic friendship and relationship, whatever, or marriage with this person that has wronged me. Mm-hmm. Somebody always is going to have to bear the brunt of forgiveness or bear the brunt of a sin, either the offender or the offendee. Mm-hmm. So when we forgive, we're saying, I'm going to bear the brunt of the sin, and I'm going to bear the weight of that and let you go free.
Yeah, and one of the things when I think of it as a true measurement or a true litmus as if you have truly forgiven, is the idea: will you give yourself back to me? Mm-hmm. And vice versa. Mm-hmm. Like, can we really forgive, or will you be able to give yourself back to me and me back to you, in that? And I think that's really one of the key kind of litmuses of really, have you really forgiven someone? Right. Yeah. Wait, hold on.
Oh, my bad, bro.
He's not an author. So should we let him talk?
That is true.
Should we let him?
We'll let him in.
All right,
podcast.
That's it. All right, brothers. Now go ahead.
Y'all vote for that podcast.
The authors have decided that
that podcast.
You can speak.
We have authorized you.
There you go. That's all
right. Right. Actually, I loved it. All right. What were we going to say?
We've got a live audience. They're laughing too. Our producer's laughing. That podcast. No, I think ultimately, I think the impact of this particular verse to me, and I think ultimately, what we desire to see with people that we're in a relationship with is that I think what Paul is doing here is pointing to the implications of the gospel. It's growth. Mm-hmm. I think it's growth. I think it's Philemon being able to see Onesimus, to see him in the way that God sees him. Mm-hmm. So I think that's our hope in all of these conversations. Right. Is that people that we're in a relationship with would experience growth, and that they would see people in the way that God does. So I think that's the end goal. Yeah,
and I think one of the implications of this letter and also other documents of the New Testament is we don't realize just how countercultural the church of the first century was. Yeah. There was nothing like it. There was no society. There was no organization like it in all of the Roman Empire, and we know that because of who. For example, when Paul is writing Ephesians, we know, he wrote the letter and everybody got together in the room and they read the letter at one time. Yeah. Right. They didn't do expository reading with Paul's letters, right? They just kind of read it all at once and later on dealt with however they dealt with it. But who's addressing the letter, right? We know husbands, wives, children, and slaves. Yeah. And they're all in the same room, hearing the same realities and being called to the same gospel. Yeah. There was not a second class. There was not, for the kids over here and then for the slaves over here and the different ways that society gets broken down. And I think that's an important thing to realize, that how countercultural. And one of the things that strikes me especially when I read the book of Ephesians, is when Paul talks about this mystery that's been revealed, and he says, as an apostle, I got this mystery that's been revealed. I'm going to make it known to you. You're like, ooh, what is it? You get all excited, and then when he goes to unveil the mystery, the high point of the revelation of the church is what? Jew and Gentile in one body. Yeah. That's the mystery. Yeah. That's the high point of what God is doing in the gospel on the earth. Yeah. And so when we talk about these kind of slave and master relationships, Jew and Gentile relationships, these ethnic tensions being healed, that's very much the goal of the gospel, and the church is supposed to be the platform or the showcase where God is doing that at, to show off to the world what the gospel can really do.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I often interact with, this book has been in the Bible for thousands of years, and how it's possible, and I think we've seen in history through slavery, injustice, that the church gets it wrong. Often, like, literally, as we're going through this book, I'm like, "Yo, where was this book in 1619? Like, how did we read into this?" And I think that's somewhat the tragedy of this is that we have these teachings, though we've seen injustice for 300-400 years, and then I think even in the midst of having these teachings today, maybe still not leaning into really the implications there. So I think it to me, it's a reminder that I think in terms of the church, is that the church really should always be in a position where we're reforming ourselves in terms of asking ourselves, man, are we really living out the implications of this, and that we have kind of prophets in our culture that are reminding people of what's true. So that's what kind of exists in me. I'm like, yo, this would have been good in 1619, to kind of process through. But there were godly men and women that just,
For us less educated, brother, what happened in 1619?
Isn't that the name of Love Over Hate?
Brother, I don't know. That's what I'm just like.
1619?
What significant happened in 1619, like in terms of the?
So that's the beginning of the slave trade.
Was it?
Yeah.
Is he joking? When the first slaves arrived on, right?
Okay, man, I didn't know, man. Why are you?
You're author. You got a book.
I do have a book.
So I was like, I thought he was joking. If he's got a book.
I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Your brother's actually, I think, one of the
1619. Yeah, but it's on an album, but I don't know what what was significant about it. I think
that was the first. I think when the first recorded African was brought here in the New World. So sweet. Look, you learned something.
See, I learned something. That is trivia.
And look, that comes from a non-published podcaster.
But it also comes from someone who just has the humility to know that he don't know.
That's good.
Everything.
Well, love over hate, man.
But I don't know a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
Are you here for that?
Yeah. Is that it?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
So no, that's really good. That's good. So I think this is an important piece to see one another as a brother, not a servant, because so many of us, that's what we want. Yeah. That's what the drug dealer, that's what the CEO, that we want family. Yeah. And that's why you see over and over again friends and family playing and this and that. It's like everybody's family, football team, everyone's family. Yeah. But we know that the body of Christ is the only true, real, everlasting family. But the problem is as a church, we want to be known for everything else but family. And it grieves me. We want to be known by the type of worship music, whether we're Reformed or Arminian, whether this or that, dispensation or covenant. Like, we want to be known for everything else, but we don't want to be known for being family. Right. And I think that is something that it grieves me. And that's why I'm like, if we're really going to see true reconciliation in a divided country, in a divided church, that we have to begin to embody and embrace this. The very essence of being us. We're all Southern Baptist pastors. And people are constantly asking me, why in the world would you be a Southern Baptist pastor? They were on the wrong side of slavery.
Yeah. Southern's in there for a reason.
Yeah, they're in there for a reason. Like, why in the world? And I just say, man, what other way to demonstrate the power of the gospel, that these are brothers and sisters, that regardless if they were involved, not involved, whatever, brothers and sisters, that, man, we get the ability to demonstrate the power of the gospel and to reconcile it and to create a new narrative. Yeah. How can we better, glorify God? Yeah. It's really easy for us to go start our own thing, our own FUBU denomination, but it's important.
No, I think even what you said too, I think minorities, man, it meant a lot to me in 1995, regardless of the time, like to read how the Southern Baptist Convention repented of just kind of the historical narrative of slavery. And so I think that again kind of speaks, I think, what you've often
Do we get
talked
reparations?
About. We didn't get reparations.
Okay, because I was just like, I missed it. I missed the check. I wasn't Southern Baptist back then
either.
So,
1995,
so I didn't know if they was giving out.
I was hooping.
You was hooping?
Yeah, I was hooping. But again, I think what Jorge has often talked about, again, this notion of justice and this notion, even if people weren't complicit in the particular acts or the offenses, and what it means to acknowledge that, and that to be a part of the narrative going forward. So to me, that means something, in terms of the denominational line. So,
well, good. Well, God has providentially put us in this time, in this period, to be brothers and sisters in a world that sees one another as enemies. Yeah. I think that has the opportunity for the church to be the family of God that everybody desires and wants, in which God is our Father, Jesus is our elder brother, and we are brothers and sisters in Christ. So, brothers, you guys are my brothers.
Hey, man, we love you, man.
I appreciate you.
We love you. This is from the unpublished Stephen Lee signing off.
The published, Nahadi Lewis.
The published, Jorge Mendoza.
Hey, man, but we still love you, brother.
All right, that podcast.
We receive you.
We receive you not as a servant, but as a brother.
As a brother, that podcast. We out.